All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Psyched. I am Dr. T, and this is
Hi, I'm Dr. Liz Dubois Erskine, and we're joined with we're joined by, yes, Grace Kathleen Burns of Burned Media, who is a new friend of mine. And we have invited her to come on today to talk with us a little bit about the overlap of success, focus, ease of being seen as you grow whether it's your company or your own professional success or at large. She's here to speak with us a little bit about her story, and then that'll open the floor for all three of us to talk about kind of the intersections of body image, how we see ourselves, and what that looks like and the complications that arise from that as we grow into our full capacities as leaders. So with that, Grace, I'm going to hand it to you. Tell us a little bit about who you are, about your company, and then take it away in terms of talking about success and body image.
Hi, of course. Thank you guys for having me so much. I appreciate being here. So I'm Grace Kathleen Burns. I'm the owner and founder of Burned Media, LLC. We do custom marketing campaigns to help small businesses and nonprofits at any point in their journey. So I have people that come to me and are like, I have this really cool idea, or I want to start this nonprofit to help these people. And I'm like, great, let's get it off the ground. And then I have people who come to me and who are like, I have a marketing campaign. I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm done. I want to be out of it. Can you take it off my hand? And I meet with people everywhere in between. I teach, I do photography, all sorts of fun things, anything media related. So that's a little bit about me. And I call myself the 22-year-old CEO because I founded my company right out of college and just went right into it. I definitely have the background of leadership experience. I was talking to Liz on Monday actually about being the queen of the side quest, as we both are. We have very extensive side quest experience. So through that, I've learned a lot about it. And I also have a lot of experience about body image and how body image, especially as an adolescent and growing up, can affect your mental development in leading to be successful, and how people come to be secure in themselves and their body, and how that makes them better leaders. Are we ready to jump in, or?
Well, let's do it. Why don't you open us up? I'm excited and just deeply honored that you are game to come on and tell us a little bit about your story. And I know there's parts of what you have to say that overlap with my own journey and with what T has shared with me about her life experiences. So with all of that out of the way, go ahead and take it from here.
Of course, yeah. So starting on my story, I was not a very athletic kid in terms of competitive team sports. I could not throw, I could not catch, I could not do anything like that. I very quickly found my sport as being a dancer, and I was big into musical theater and band and choir, if you can't tell. I'm a giant theater nerd about all this stuff, but I loved dance. And I always felt very ostracized from all the other kids that could do I don't want to say regular sports, because I'm thinking soccer, football, lacrosse. I was never good at any of those, but dance is a sport. You know what I mean. Activities.
Hang on, we're getting a lot of mic feedback. Do you have a mic on?
I do not have a mic on.
Something's buzzing up every time you move. Sorry to pause us.
No, you're good. Let me see. I'm just using my.
For listeners at home, this is episode 2, so we're still getting all the bugs out of the tech. But we are committed to doing this live because we want it to be raw. God damn it.
Should I try again and just hold still?
Yeah, don't move.
Sorry, I will be very still. But I love dance, and this is not to say anything about the studio I was at, but dance is a very comparative-based sport. You're not necessarily working in a team. You are dancing together, and you do want to be in sync with your team, but it is against each other. You're against you. So that definitely puts like a pressure on you that other sports don't have, to have the highest legs, have the best extensions, have this. And like I said, it was never imposed on you. It's just the nature of the beast. And it's self-imposed. That truly does affect who you are as a person and your comparison to others, because it gets ingrained in you. Like I remember being in 6th grade and being like, oh, she's skinnier than me, or oh, she's this or that, or oh, he's much stronger than I am, or just instinctually comparative, which does distract from who you are and who you want to be, and you're learning as a child and while you're developing, and you're so concerned about, oh, how do I look? And you're coming into yourself, that it's hard to focus on the other things around. Yeah, I feel like I've been rambling. You guys want to jump in?
Oh, and shout out to the theater geeks. I too was a theater geek. I was a thespian, so
Yes, same. I've been like counting down the days until my child can join middle school like theater club. This is here at middle school, and he's such a ham. He's like me. I too was a thespian. So awesome. Grace, I really appreciate what you brought up around like the external focus, right? Of like constantly kind of pinging about like, am I bigger than her? Am I thinner than her? Am I fatter than her? Am I taller than him? Right. And like, I'm almost 6 feet tall. I've been this tall since 6th grade. And I'm like a heavier set person when I'm not being like extremely attentive to staying thin. And so for me growing up in like 6th grade, you mentioned as like a watershed year. For me, it was the same. That was kind of the area that I like figured out, like, not only am I fat, but I'm fat. And like, this is going to like feel weird as I want to be more visible, as opposed to just like, I don't like being fat and kids are making fun of me. And parents have things to say too. So like, like I know that my body is a problem into my body is a problem, and as a result I don't like there's I need to act differently in the world. I need to either like overcompensate for it and be like the fat funny friend, or like shy back from like doing some of the stuff that I really want to do. Like I would have loved to have a leading role as like the hot girl, right? But there were no hot girl roles for people that were like a size 14, 16 in middle school. Like that doesn't exist. It probably still doesn't now, right? Right. So anyway, yeah, I hear you. T, what about you?
So for me, when I was younger, I think, I don't know, I didn't really look at that when I was younger. And so it wasn't really until I joined the military that I started seeing or having issues with like body image and stuff like that. That's when I really kind of and I really kind of attribute it to like, we had a standard to upkeep. So if you fall too out of that standard, it was like, hey, we're going to put you in BCP. You need to PT 3 times a day. We need to get you together. And so, and then even with that, I actually was below my weight average, because I think the minimum for my weight class at that time was like $115. And I joined and I was like 119, but in boot camp, I got down to like 112. And so I was below my height and weight standards. And so there was one time in my career where I got up to like 140, and I like had a full breakdown, because I was like, oh my God, like they're going to kick me out. Like, I'm not going to be able to, perform. And looking back, I just was like really, really, really extremely tough on myself. And because after I had kids, I gained a lot of weight. I gained 100 pounds in my first pregnancy. So I went from like 126, 130 to 230. And obviously I viewed myself differently. I was just like, oh my gosh. And like, there was that. So I would say the military and, postpartum is when I really dealt with like challenges around, body image and how I felt. And even now, I still am kind of trying to, I'm in the gym 5 days a week now, trying to like sculpt the body that I desire. But even when I'm doing that, like I still see, like, hey, I could work on this, or this, like, there's still things that I work on to be better about.
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that. I was looking at a couple photos you sent over as we were building our webpage, and there's a photo of you running in boot camp. And maybe it's on your LinkedIn. And I was just like, oh my God, this little itty bitty girl. Like, I just wanted to like scoop you up and hug you and give you a sandwich. It's the one where you're like running and like waving.
I need one. I was supposed to be double rats in boot camp.
You were so tiny. And then to know like the conversations that we've had about like the noise in your head about, oh, I'm too big, I'm too small, I'm too this, I'm too that. I feel like as leaders, especially as female leaders, like I know men struggle with weight image for sure, body image for sure. I'm raising a boy. I don't want to exclude anyone from this conversation. Mm-hmm. And I think especially as female leaders, there's so much more on the line in terms of like being seen as credible, if that makes sense. Like I was just at a networking luncheon right before we hit record. And I like knowing that we were going to have this conversation, I kind of looked around the room. There were probably about 40 other people there. And only one of them was significant. There were two people that were significantly overweight. Everybody else was in a pretty like, I would say like within a normal parameter of kind of what you think about in like a healthy BMI sort of thing. And these are all business leaders. These are all people that are, running the state of Maryland. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I don't think it's a coincidence that most of these people are thin, and the two people that were not part of this networking group. They were there for a nonprofit giving a presentation. So all of the people that were like the muckety mucks and the leaders and the this and the that and the other thing were people that like their body looked a certain type of way. And I know for me, when I got very, very overweight, I was 230 the day I delivered my son. That's so crazy that we were the same weight. Right. Like I know when I got like even heavier than that postpartum, I just didn't feel like credible. I didn't feel like I didn't feel like people would take me seriously and that I would just like get written off. And like some of that, I, like as an executive coach, I want to be like, no, like, how you see yourself is up to you and like make that choice. But the reality is like fat shaming is a thing. People think less of fat people, right? And like I don't know and all that.
Africa.
Yeah.
What?
I said, except in Africa.
Right.
I don't think, when you're bigger, it's like you're royal and stuff like that. They love that.
Okay, context specific. And I'm gonna say, in like I've like done research on like women and in kind of like different contexts of research on women in Russia, Cambodia, Indonesia, and the U.S. And let me tell you what, if you're a fat woman, we just don't see you as serious, right? Like you're lazy, you're slovenly, you haven't like taken good care of yourself, and that is, like gets dragged into career success as kind of like, well, why would I trust you? Like, why would I take you seriously? Like, I don't know that that's something I have heard people say that to me, actually. I was about to say, I've never heard that. It's not true. I have. Right. So I don't know. Curious. I'm like, does that resonate for either of you?
I have so much to build off of what you just said. There's like 3 things that I was like, oh, I need to talk about that. Firstly, yes, I completely stand behind your point of like, this is a non-gender conversation. Like, obviously there is beauty standards for women that men don't always have. And there's like a crazy stat that like women that wear makeup to work earn 40% more. Or it's like crazy. I don't quote me on that, but it's along the lines of that. But I do think that it is a genderless conversation because it is almost like when you're selling somebody a product, whether it be consulting or a physical product, it's like, well, why should I trust you with this? And especially in a time where like people are so hesitant to give over their money, it's like you as a business owner and you as a entrepreneur have to be like a picture perfect idea before you can ever be like, okay, give me your money now. So it does affect men in the business sense as much as women. And what you were saying, it's building credibility as well. And I also, building off of what you just said, I feel like it does have a psychological way about you where it's like, if you don't see the worth in yourself, of like, oh, my body image plays so much into your self-worth as a whole, it's like, how will anybody else trust me? And as soon as like you come to terms with your own body image and you're like, this is my body, it does great things for me, it keeps me alive, that's when people really take off in their business, because it's like, oh, I know I'm cool and my body doesn't prohibit me. But when your brain is so full of like, oh, this person is skinnier than me, this person is whatever than me, and put such a damper on entrepreneurial spirit, or even in the mindset of just like, oh, I can't even take care of my own body. How am I going to take care of a company? How am I going to take care of other people? How am I going to take care of this and that? I can't even get my body under control, or my body to a way that I like it. And that's like a loss of control, that it's hard to convince other people to trust you as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just kind of agreeing and piggybacking off of what you said.
Yes, agree with me. I don't know, T, disagree with me.
Well, let me rack my brain. I don't really have anything to be in disagreement about. I mean, I have some questions, because you said, there was something you said at the end. What was it? Oh boy. You said loss of control.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm curious, when you say loss of control, I'm more curious, like, what does that look like? How does that happen? Um, what does that look like? Loss of control, or
Yeah. So I have always struggled with like body image, eating kind of thing in and out my whole life. And for me, sometimes it can feel, and when you're like in this horrible cycle of like mental illness / eating, it's like, I am so out of control, like this isn't me. I could not even begin to know where to start on how to fix this. And it's very humbling in the sense of like, how do I want to put this into words? It's like, I don't even know where to begin. Like, I want to fix it, I don't like this, but I don't even know how to start. So when you feel that way about like the skin that you're living in, and you feel like trapped inside of your own skin, you don't even know where to begin. Like, you know, when you throw a great big party and you're having so much fun, and then everybody leaves and it's like, okay, my house is a disaster and I had a really good time getting here, but I don't even know where to start.
Yeah. Oh, good analogy.
That's kind of what it feels like. And it's like someone asking you, your house is a disaster, you're racking your brain, how do you fix this? And they're like, okay, start a company now. Convince someone why you're trustworthy. And it's like, oh, I can't see past this giant party mess. And that's kind of where it feels like a loss of control, where it's like, I don't even know where to start. How are you expecting me to be successful and lead you when I've made this giant mess and I couldn't tell you where to go? Or I couldn't tell myself how to start.
I have so many thoughts. T, I don't want to talk over.
So how did you end up navigating and finding your success, and getting to that place where it's like, okay, I'm taking control of this. I'm taking control over my life, and how I feel about it, and I'm going to be successful. I'm going to, build this business. How did you get there?
So this is like such a non-fun answer, but I had raging anxiety. I was like, if I was one of those people that I was such a high overachiever that like, if I got a B in a class, I was like, oh, I better start learning riddles because I'm going to become a troll under a bridge. Like that's the only option. I am that kind of anxious, where it's like perfectionist anxious. So I was always very like high achieving in what I was being told what to do. Like, I feel like in school you have a very set roadmap to get you to that degree. It's like, okay, here are the chapters, read them, do well on the test, get the good GPA, you get the diploma, you get the good job.
Yeah.
When I got out of school, I had no roadmap whatsoever. So I didn't have that force to like set the fire under the anxiety hamster wheel to make me keep going. And I was like, okay, this isn't working because I'm suffocating in this. So I kind of had to have a sit down with myself, and I was like, listed out all the things about me that made me cool, and like not my accomplishments, not my body, not my anything else. Like, I'm a good person, I'm a good friend, that kind of thing. And then I don't know why, but it just clicked, and it was like, oh, I'm really cool. And I was like, oh, actually, I can go get help with this, and I can do this. And it's like, oh, I am a good person regardless of how much I accomplish, of how much I look like, whatever, of the mistakes I've made, anything like that. So I ended up going and talking to someone and talking through it. And it just made it so clear that I was like, okay, I can do this now.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started my business, and here we are. I know it's such not a romanticized answer.
No, and thank you so much for being vulnerable and honest and sharing that with us. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. What I hear in that answer is like, there was an acceptance and a surrender, and then kind of I don't love this, and it's like a very TED Talkified like thing to say, but like you kind of made friends with your own like boogity boos. You're like, oh, okay, I'm wildly anxious, and like we're just gonna roll with that, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think that there.
I always say my anxiety is my superpower. Like, it makes me go really fast.
Yeah, right. Like, it can be a very helpful thing, unless it's not. I like, my husband left a box cutter on the table, and then I've got like, right. Like, this can be a very helpful tool, or it can like really, really, really hurt you. And I think anxiety, like drive, any of those things, like there's a tipping point where it can like go from being very, very helpful to very, very damaging. And it sounds like you kind of figured out like, how do I harness this in such a way that it doesn't drive me freaking crazy every day? And also, whoa, lo and behold, I can kind of like channel this to navigate through obstacles that other people are perhaps not able to do as quickly or as gracefully, no pun intended, right? Because they don't have anxiety, right? So they have to like come from motivation or drive or whatever. And you're like, nope, this is what's working for me. Let's freaking go. I think that's brilliant.
Absolutely. And for a really long time, I was very fearful of going on like anxiety medications, because I was like, well, what if it dulls my sparkle, my anxiety? And I'm like, because I had so many friends that were like, oh yeah, I went on anxiety medicine and I had no motivation. Like, I didn't want to do anything. Like, I couldn't get out of bed. And I was very fearful of that, in the sense of like, well, I don't want it to tip the opposite direction, because I like what it's doing for me now. I'm like, I'm miserable, but I'm getting things done. I don't want to be miserable and not getting things done. Right. So once I finally like got over that, and I was like, you know what, we'll try it. We'll try it for a month, and if I hate it, we'll stop.
Right.
And then it just worked out.
Yeah. And do you feel like you're still miserable now?
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
I want to like underscore, highlight, circle, bold, italic, all of that. Something that you just said about like, you were like, well, I'll do it for a month and see what happens. And then I can go off. And I think there's a lot of people that probably are pretty, well, I don't think there are a lot of people that I encounter in my work, that I've encountered in my research, where they're just like, well, I don't want to do meds because X, Y, and Z. And I'm not here to push anyone at all on meds, but I think that there's a lack of conversation around, I'm going to be open-minded around kind of laboratorying my way through what this might look like. And there's a lot of people that on the other side of that experiment decide, this isn't for me, right? I don't like what happened. Or I have a couple of clients right now that are still in the kind of tweaking phase, but there's so much healing that comes from saying something about me is really struggling, and I am going to support that thing, whether it's like you said, you tried medicine as an experiment, let's give it a month, or you said you finally got to a point where you're like, I just need to go talk to somebody about all of what's going on. And I think that having that just moment of surrender over and over again, right? Like, I'm not in a good place with this. I don't like what my anxiety looks like, but I think I can use it in some way. I'm going to surrender to this rather than fight it. I'm going to surrender to the idea that I don't have to like fight my body anymore. I can just talk to somebody about what I'm feeling. Like, that's such a huge, courageous, like powerful way to see the world.
Thank you. But yeah, again, building off of what you said, I thought that way for a long time, and I am by no means like a medication pusher or anything like that. Like, when I get a cold, I'm raw dogging it. Like, I'm eating oranges, that kind of thing. Like, I don't know why, I just am. Like, I've always been that way. I'm like, okay, let's try the natural remedies first. Let's see what I can do to fix this, and then go to medicine. Like, not that I'm against it or anything, it's just the way I've always been. And I've tried so many like mental health fixes in my life where it's like, okay, let me try the breathing exercises, let me count down from 5, let me do this first, let me see what's in my control before I go to that. And I felt like I was at a point where I was like, okay, I do all these things pretty consistently, nothing's really doing it. Like, it's just kind of scratching the surface.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, let me try and add this because it's the only thing I haven't tried yet. And then I think a lot of people like have the misconception that once you try like anxiety medicine, it just goes away. And it doesn't. The anxiety doesn't go away. No. So the best comparison that I can find is like, at least for my experience, it was like I would start to get anxious, and then I would be like, Grace, you're being anxious. Like, this isn't you. And I'm like, oh my God, you're so right. And then we'll just go on to the next one. Before that was like never possible.
Oh, I love that. I love that. This isn't you. Keep moving. Yeah, I think that's brilliant. We're going to start to bring this on home. T, what are your kind of thoughts concluding all of this? What's really resonated for you? What are your big takeaways?
One of my biggest takeaways, I'm wondering what we can do to be, transformative and kind of change all the stigmas around, like, how people feel based off of how someone looks without completely understanding what's going on. And I think the bottom line is be a decent human being, be kind, and, just be helpful and a caring person to, everyone. So I think that's kind of my biggest takeaway. How about you, Grace?
Oh, me. I was expecting you to say Liz.
Well, either or, whoever.
You go, Grace, and then I'll bring us on home.
Okay. I feel like the biggest takeaway for me is that your body image and taking care of your body image does affect how you are as a leader and affects your development and all sorts of stuff. And taking that at a young age can be so important to the trajectory of your professional success.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I got.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I have this experience rattling in my head as we've talked through all of this. And I think kind of like my big key takeaway is like your ability to choose to like make friends with what's going on in yourself, whether that's with food, whether it's anxiety or whatever, but being like, no, this is who I am. And like, how do I get on the same page with myself versus like the world telling you what you are and who you're allowed to be based on your body size, I think is like my big thing of just like how powerful it is to say like, thank you for sharing. That's not true. I had like 2 really, I don't know, interesting experiences, awful experiences. When I was younger and I was obese, like, significantly overweight to the point that I ended up losing about 100 pounds, when I like decided to do something differently. And I was like, I don't know, probably like 21, 22. And I was filling up gas. I was like getting gas from a gas station on Wisconsin Avenue in DC. And I was like a size 20 at the time. And this guy bumped into me. He bumped into me, not the vice versa. Right. And he goes, "Move your fat A, bitch." And I was like, what? Right. And like, flash forward, like 18 months later, I've lost 100 pounds. I'm modeling. I'm like having all of these really like, oh my God, experiences professionally. I ended up making $22,000 more than I had the year before in the same job. It was a sales job. People were paying me more money, right? So I'm on Wisconsin Avenue again, like probably half a mile, like further south. And I'm getting in my car. And this guy stops me, hands me a business card, and goes, "I'm a photographer. I would love to shoot you." Right. And it was like in the span of 18 months and half a mile, right? I'd gone from being a size 22, like 2022 to a size 4. And someone saying like, move your ass, right, you fat bitch, to like, "I would like to shoot you as a model." Right. And it was so bizarre to me, like the like, whoa, whooplash. And what I can think about now, like 20 years later, as a like elder millennial, right? What I can think about now is like how much I allowed my feelings to be dictated by what other people were saying I was my value was, right? Like I really, really bought into how you see me determines whether or not I think highly of myself. And now I still struggle with that as a person that has yo-yoed in my body size over the years. Like I still struggle with that, but it no longer like defines how I see myself. It's just getting like rattled in the moment, but it doesn't rock my sense of self-worth, whereas like 20 years ago it really did. So I think like that's my big takeaway, is like how you choose to define yourself is like much more an indicator of how successful you'll be than whether or not you're like fat or thin. So that's my big takeaway. Does anyone have any final closing words?
I really like that you touched on it. I'm not going to harp on it too much because we're running out of time, but I like that you touched on the difference in how you were treated at both sizes, because I think that that's something to think about and look into too. Because I know we talked about, like this is what people feel and think or whatever, but to actually feel that change and shift. So I just think that's pretty interesting, and that's it. That's all I really have. I wish we could touch on that more if we had a little bit more time.
Well, Grace Kathleen Burns, we will have to have you back for a sequel.
I would love to come back.
Yeah, no, and like I said, new friends. We don't live too far. She's a brilliant media strategist, and I'm so glad she was able to come on here and follow up on a very interesting conversation we had at the bagel shop on Monday. So we are Psyched Pod, on behalf of myself, Dr. Liz Dubois Erskine, and on behalf of T. Watts, Dr. T. Watts. Thank you for being here. Grace, tell the people where they can find you.
Thank you so much for having me. You can find me on basically all social media platforms at Grace Kathleen Burns. Professionally, everything is under Burned Media LLC. You can go to burnedmediallc.com and all my links are there.
Awesome. Well, we have been Psyched Pod. We will still be Psyched Pod even when we sign off. Talk about the intersections of mental health and leadership. If you are a good person and care at all about those things, you should come be with us. We stream either Wednesday or Thursday every week, and you can find us on psychedpod.com or reach out to us at psychedpod@gmail.com. And we will say goodbye for now.